I want to dress up like a clown and have sex with children and kill them.
So many reasons to stay. It's taking. California girls were unforgettable. Daisy Dukes, bikinis on top.
Hey, I'm back. Of course I could never just have a clean comeback. Someone has to come in and do a Super Smash Bros. Style spike as soon as I come back. All because I was mean to the Fat Man. But you already know about the Fat Man. I've spent literal years now talking about the Fat Man. Can you believe that? The Immigrant Saga was 2 years ago, and despite Septi being dead and Neko Koda being gone and having no interest in coming back, the Fat Man still tries to continue the fight when everyone either realized I wasn't in the wrong, got exposed themselves, or just stopped caring. But Carmen Ryder... But Carmen Ryder... You initiated the first interaction. You added him. And to that I say... So now he responds? And this is what he responds to? I've called him out time and time again for shit he's done. Genuine stuff. Like the stuff with Jordan, him flagging Kato for posting a call he didn't want to get out for whatever reason, him keeping Coyote Lovely around for longer than he should, knowing what he did, the FCK stuff, being a hypocritical auntie, and a hell of a lot of other things. So not only have I not fired the first shot, as this has been going on for years from the Immigrant Saga, but he's done a bunch of terrible things and decides to only now respond to what is essentially nothing. Anyways, the video is titled, Fixing Carmen Ryder's Art. Let's get into it.
Hello, I'm LioConvoy and welcome to the channel. While I've regularly been accused of being an art commentary, I've never actually done anything that qualifies me as a member of that community.
Accused. You keep saying how you just want to be a toy channel, but all you did was talk about drama, and now in this post-Rosacall world are you doing toy reviews because you realize your actions are unjustifiable. You're as clear as glass, and you are either blissfully unaware of that fact, or are hoping that people just not look into everything you've said and done.
Until today. Meet Carmen Ryder, someone I've spoken about on the channel who I will absolutely finish addressing sometime in the future.
He has been saying this for about a year now, and to this day, he has not finished that video on me. Unless that video is true Septipaw's length, then there is no way you can justify how long it has taken for you to finish that video.
She's well known for such hits like advocating for lolicon to an intentional audience of children.
13 isn't a child. I've explained this to Slumber. 13 may be a minor, but it is not a child. And yeah, I talk about aunties. What of it?
Commissioning a non-con thumbnail of an SA victim.
Not a commission. I literally just asked my girlfriend to do it. Also, not to mention this SA victim cares even less about minors than this made-up version of me in your head does, as she threatened to dox a minor and called her abusive parents, all because said minor was being mean to milligrams on Discord. Not to mention, she's one of the people who started the harassment campaign that you were a part of against me. But no, let's paint a skewed version of the story because it doesn't suit your narrative.
And many more debaucherous things. But what am I doing today? Well, last week I got randomly tagged by Carmen in a community post.
A community post that has a part that calls out Neko Koda's rapist in the first place, which makes your previous point irrelevant.
Outside of all the rambling bereft of any reality.
Rambling without any reality, despite the fact that objective proof of Ephraim was shown in Heaton's Please Feel Sorry For Me video.
She decided to take a shot at not only me, but Sailor Moon September.
Yes, because you are a plague on YouTube, and anyone who interacts with you, who doesn't give you a metaphorical sucking off, hates you, and is exposed to the terrible things you've done to them. Myself included.
An event I'm doing on the channel where I talk about Sailor Moon all month. In doing this, she drew a picture of Sailor Moon talking about how I'm ugly and that my old man should have beaten me more as a kid. Absolutely on point that a lolicon would advocate for child abuse.
Because clearly, being attracted to anime girls correlates with beating children. Also, I'm not going to apologize because you've objectively abused your own children, both mentally and abused other people in calls. Something that has been objectively proven since the Rosa call came out.
All while not being grammatically correct.
This is the internet. No one is grammatically correct. Man, I really do miss RARXD speak and leet speak. Can we bring that back instead of this baby babble skibbity backrooms cockney slang that modern day fetuses have invented?
Do you think kids have sleepovers and the other kid tells them, dude, I just saw Skibidi toilet in the hallway, and they keep escalating it until they believe themselves and they won't go to sleep that night because they're like, Mom, Skibidi toilet. And 10 years down the line, they're like, what the fuck were we talking about? Like, why were we doing that? I don't know, dude. We were like 2.
They don't tend to be all that bright, to be fair. Also, lacking in any self-awareness. I've seen what Carmen looks like. Glass houses and all that.
Oh, and the reason LioConvoy knows what I look like is because Acri, or Edge, a former friend of mine, literally showed it to him without my permission. Why? Because he was angry at me at the start of the Immigrant Saga and backstabbed me. Anyone who has seen The True Septipaws knows that I said not naming names in regards to someone giving a picture of me to LioConvoy. Shortly after that video, when I was still friends with Acri, after he realized I wasn't in the wrong, we made a deal. A deal that if my face appeared in any video, thumbnail, or anywhere publicly, that I would have him turn on his face cam and directly apologize for doing it in a video of mine. That's all I wanted. And then years later, Acri would defend a groomer on the basis of that he had a crush on her. So I eventually kicked Acri to the curb and made a community post. That last part happening during a time when someone was attempting to dox me publicly on YouTube. It's not up anymore, but it was happening as I have that video saved. But why did Red have a picture of my face? Simple. I trusted him. He was my friend at the time and I trusted him. Of course, he threw that trust at a wall while said trust splattered like an egg. Twice. And this is the person that the fat man decided to get this information from, without my consent. I will definitely talk about Acri more in a future video, but this is only scratching the surface, and I'm not keen on turning a petty 5-minute video into a 1-hour one.
Even if I were ugly, at least I'm married.
I mean, I'm in a relationship too, but okay. Haha, yes, I have sex, therefore I am superior. Like, bro, you ain't special. You're not special. Anyways, I'm gonna skip ahead because after a bit it's just an art tutorial, so it's nothing really against me unless you count pettiness. But there is one aspect to his Twitter-style fixing that I'm gonna go over.
Now, how about that word balloon? I don't think a character like Sailor Moon would advocate for child abuse. So let's take a minor piece from the old Deke dub of the show.
Because everyone loved the Deke dub. Everyone loved the dub that erased gay relationships. Everyone just loved that part of it. The only good thing about the Deke dub is the fact that they kept in Moonlight Densetsu.
There we go.
I never sexualized real children, but okay. Though there is a few things I'd like to point out before we get to the next thing I want to go over. Firstly, to elaborate on my point earlier about how LioConvoy responds to this community post and only this community post. It seems that he's hoping people don't know what he's done. As in, he's betting on people just not knowing in hopes that they don't call him out. Anyone who has the same level of knowledge about the Fat Man as I do will have an apathetic feeling to the statement said by everyone's favorite magical girl. I mean, LioConvoy has said worse to people. I may not like Septipaws, but never once have I said, I'll put my hands on you and it won't be in prayer to them.
Septi, you're in like Arizona or Nevada right now, right?
Yeah?
Stay out of Texas, because I might lay hands on you and it won't be in prayer.
Secondly is the intentionally manipulative nature of this video. Obviously, it's a half-truth. Not even that, it's a 1% truth. And it's also obvious that he's hoping his viewers fill in the blanks with their headcanons about me as opposed to looking at the facts. But what isn't obvious is the goal he's trying to achieve by attaching an art tutorial to his video. Now, fair is fair, and his 2D art is better than mine. I mean, I literally called my own work shit. After all, I work better in 3D anyways. Anyone who has seen Loon's birthday gift knows that. But it's not just that. It's the fact that genuine art advice is attached to what essentially is that 1% truth. Imagine you're a fan of the Fat Man. Scary, I know. Now, obviously if you are, you're probably in the art commentary circles, or at least in art circles. So you or someone you know is doing art. Let's say one of those friends DMs you saying, "Ah man, I'm having trouble doing art. I can't get proportions right or nothing." Or something like that. And of course, you wanting to help your friend and you being the uber fan of the Fat Man think, "Oh yeah, that YouTuber I liked in an art tutorial that one time. Maybe his pointers can help my friend." So then they send the video to the friend in question, leading to the friend unintentionally hearing the 1% truths said by said video. Now, the friend is only in it for the tutorial, so they're not gonna look into it. But they still heard it. And they're likely gonna believe it because the tutorial man said it. Plus, they're not invested enough to look into it. So why would they try to do their own research and look into it themselves? And by the time they do eventually look into it, they're just gonna go in with a biased view and not see the nuance of the situation. Made even worse by the fact that that friend is going to continuously pass this tutorial down to those who need it, resulting in a game of telephone where instead of ending up with a skewed truth at the end, you get a skewed truth at the start, and that skewed truth never changes. And you can see this happening right now as someone left a comment on my post that proves this point exactly. That person being Lucky M, who is an auntie despite making fan art of Rizzy, who made suggestive art of Velma, who is 15. Like many aunties, you only act like an auntie when it's someone you don't like. No hate to Rizzy, of course. I enjoy their art myself. But clearly, Lucky is not enforcing her rules fairly. Anyways, let's read. Newsflash. Just because you don't like someone or if they did something wrong, it doesn't give you the right to mock the abuse that person went through as a kid. It doesn't make you any better and it makes you look shitty. This isn't me mocking someone I don't like. It's me mocking someone who has done far worse than this. I literally have multiple videos going over what the Fat Man has done. You literally wrote on this drawing, "Your father should have beaten you harder." No, it said his dad should have beat him harder. Learn to read, please. I don't know how you don't see that as mocking someone you don't like because of their trauma/abuse. Because your statement undermines and ignores what the Fat Man has done. And no, I ain't watching your videos. Oh, there it is. That biased view I mentioned. There it is. Proof of it right there in that statement alone. And given how Lucky M does speed paints, it's likely that the situation I described earlier is likely what happened. Perhaps not one-to-one, but it's likely. Oh, would you look at that? A Padoru meme released a few years ago. We all know what Padoru is, right? That meme of Saber from Fate doing the Christmas. Very good meme. But remember, I did say it came from the Fate series. And the Fate series is home to these two. No elaboration needed. You know exactly who these two are. Don't lie! You know. You know the kinds of shenanigans, the kinds of tomfoolery, the kind of clowning around these two get up to.
We do a little tomfoolery!
Yeah!
We're going silly mode!
Yeah!
We're up to some buffoonery!
Yeah!
We're doing nothing but clowning!
Yeah!
We're up to some nonsense!
So yeah, M is only an anti when it's someone they don't like. Also, I like how in the improvement meme, the 2014 art is clearly better than the 2022 art. You went from this cool dragon demon pony who will rain hellfire on her enemies to just blonde woman. Blonde woman who totally isn't inspired by anyone the Fat Man knows personally. No sir, totally original. Let's continue. Lio may have mishandled the Rosa situation last year. Up. Mishandled? Is that the word we're using? Mishandled, not made her mentally break down, called her a retard, and made fun of her in front of a bunch of people. Just softening the blow to slightly address what happened without actually going into it. But at least he isn't a lolicon weirdo like you. Is that your final answer? Is that the justification we're going for? Yeah, I may have been ableist and mentally broke someone, but at least I don't like anime girls. Okay, yeah, now I see where Sleepy Rara got their priorities from. By the way, Lio didn't ask a victim of SA to record CP. He did. If you knew the context of it, you know that Lio suggested Jordan do video surveillance in case his abuser were to essay them in their sleep again, so that they would have something to send to the police as proof to keep the abuser locked up in jail. Yeah, he instructed a minor to record sexually provocative content of themselves, aka make CP. You phrasing it another way doesn't change anything. As I suggested in the videos you didn't watch, I stated that Jordan should instead go to bed with something to defend themselves, give the abuser a reason to never do it again. If that's considered CP like you weirdos keep claiming, then any surveillance footage in supermarkets, hotels, etc. that has caused similar crimes saves CP too. The difference there is that managers don't specifically instruct their customers to do it in front of the cameras. These crimes just happen on camera. No one wants them to happen, let alone record it. Anyways, I'm done arguing with you. You only replied once. There was no argument to be had. Anyways, during this exchange, did you notice anything significant? Like the fact that in this thread I never mentioned the things that M said? Like at all? At all? Yeah, I mentioned the videos I did on the Fat Man, but I never directly mentioned these incidents specifically. I have a theory on this. You know how all these Senate people use the same arguments all the time? Like, the same arguments to a T? Well, you know how scammers will often use a template for their scams? And if you deviate from the template in any way, they either lose their shit, stop replying to you, or try to reorientate the conversation back to the scam and fail. I think that there might be some sort of metaphorical Senate scam template that these people use, but instead of scams, they use it to argue with people who don't like the Fat Man. Mainly me. Because if you ever deviate from the conversation or the set template they have, then they try to ignore what you said in favor of what they want to counter, or they stop responding.
Yes, do I know you? No, but I thought we could be friends. Alright, well, let me just enter this code here, and then we'll never be friends again. Oh, oops, wrong person. Hey, hun, hi there. Hiya, hey, hi. How are you doing today? Wanna chat, talk for a little while bit. I'm bored and I wanted to meet new people. Wink, smile, cat, smile.
Now you know in case you ever end up arguing with these people. Like how I deviated the conversation with the auntie of Beneath the Soil, whose profile picture comes from Castlevania, which is Konami. You know Konami, right? The creators of Yu-Gi-Oh! The game that has an archetype full of seductress lollies. Something selective auntie. Anyways, let's get into this thread, because this was a decent distraction when I was closing my work for the night. Is there a reason all these characters look like little girls? Is there a reason why that matters? Well, considering you're advocating for child sexual and physical abuse using child characters. I don't advocate for CSA. Ever once have I. If anything, I've talked about and made fun of groomers on this channel multiple times, and even called out a known groomer, Krob, on my community tab. I think the insinuation speaks for itself. Not really, no. Your pencil drawings are a weird flex, too. Because when I call something intentionally shit, that's definitely supposed to be a flex, right? Especially when you call yourself a gooner while posting images of underage characters. Okay. And I don't know, fam, it seems kinda like you're pro-child abuse. Fictional content isn't child abuse, nor is liking porn. I love how I said nothing regarding any of that. Then what the fuck did you mean by you're advocating for child sexual abuse using child characters, and you call yourself a gooner while posting images of underage characters? I don't know, that sounds like you said that to me. Attempted gaslighting will be a trend in this thread, by the way. And you went there anyway. Someone has a guilty conscience. Who? You? I said you advocate for child sexual and physical abuse by saying Lio should have been beat harder. How does beat correlate to sexual? Words you wrote, by the way. and that you were using underage fictional characters to continue to perpetuate child abuse in a positive light. All together now, everyone. The keyword is fictional. Not only are you bad at art, but you're thick as well. Yeah, the 46 people following me on Brag and the 77 people following me on Pixiv already know that. Did you know that the human IQ is between 85 and 115? I'd say that you're about 3 standard deviations below that. Because we all know that IQ is a perfect determiner of intelligence and has not at all been proven to be inaccurate. LioConvoy has threatened people many times before, yet when I say something about his past self, then it's bad? You're delusional. When you're referring positively to child abuse and how it should happen again, but harder, then yes, you are in fact the villain exponentially. So we're just gonna act like everything the fat man has done up until this point just didn't happen then? So, because you're injecting your fetish for cartoon little girls in the mix. Aside from one being in a bikini, none of these pictures are sexual. So, I don't know where you got fetish from. I mean, if you speak so positively about child abuse, then it makes it seem like you're into abusing kids. If you're into AI gooning with this little fetish, it leads credence to a certain kind of accusation. It really doesn't. Me self-deprecating about being into AI has nothing to do with the fat man, nor does it give you the right to imply pedophilia. Again, 3 standard deviations. The word you're looking for is lolly. Also, how is making actual threats to people directly any better than having an anime character say, "Your dad should have beat you harder"? That doesn't make sense in terms of severity. Not to mention, I don't see how being into porn is predatory. No, the term I was looking for was sick fuck, actually. You're not funny. So you believe that threatening people on the internet is more severe than abusing children? That's not what I said. You're selectively taking words from my last comment and construing them in a way to say something entirely different. How odd. I mean, not from you. You're from Texas. I expect nothing less from people who tell on themselves. I don't see why the xenophobia was needed, nor why it's relevant to this discussion. I know some trees that would like an apology from you for wasting their hard-produced oxygen. Cool, so now I know where to piss when I'm outside and can't find a bathroom. Yes, because the child you're referring to is a self-proclaimed old man. Also, you shouldn't use stereotypes against someone when that stereotype can be used against the person you're defending, as LioConvoy is also from Texas. Or better yet, just don't stereotype at all. I mean, it's not like you can stop me from stereotyping you, can you? Yeah, just like how you can't stop me from calling you the N-word, yet I don't, because I have the foresight to know not to do that. In fact, I don't have to stereotype you. You're a caricature all by yourself. Alright, well, let's have you come into an observatory call and have you turn on that webcam of yours to see what stereotypes you fit into. Come on, don't try to hide. Show us everything. You want to play the stereotypes game? We can play it. Come on, don't be one-sided. Let's see if we can put you in a box. Come on, make it fair, make it fair. Show us what you look like. Do you look like the Mammy guy? Do you look like the Frito Bandito? Do you look like the Japanese one from the Ductators? Or do you look like Chuli? Come on, show us. If you're so fine with applying stereotypes to other people, let's apply some to you. I'm sure there's plenty we can make. It doesn't matter if the person being mentioned is now presently an adult. You're okay with the concept of child abuse so long as it suits your needs. I never said that, and I've been trying to convince you otherwise. What other proof do you need that isn't just my word for it? This is very clear in the way you're trying to dredge up something that has nothing to do with you. Because clearly LioConvoy had everything to do with Deceptipaws and all the situations he imposed himself into. I hate this type of Twitter freak mindset. This method where people just impose themselves into situations they know nothing about or create situations based on lies. And when criticized for their garbage takes, they proceed to tell everyone to mind their own business. It's not just here either. I've seen shit like this happen many times. Usually by terminally online Twitter people. In other words, you're weaponizing a trauma. That is really bizarre. Even though the fat man weaponized my living situation against me twice, and weaponized Rosa Ray Ramsey's mental illness against her to make her break down mentally? I didn't weaponize anything. That's the fat man's job. But then again, I expect nothing less from a borderline vegetable. From xenophobia to ableism? Just speed-running bigotry. Then again, I shouldn't be surprised because Rosa Call. What? A fandom of a guy who called an autistic person retarded and insulted her to the point of crying is full of ableist people? Who would have guessed? So again, I repeat myself. You're okay with child abuse. You know, gaslighting doesn't exactly work when I can fucking scroll up, you know that, right? Also, Lio being from Texas is irrelevant to your argument. Yeah, and me being from Texas is also irrelevant, yet you brought it up anyways. I've called him stupid plenty of times. So anyways, I will reiterate. You're okay with the abuse of children because it's someone you don't like and you believe threatening someone on the internet is worse than child abuse. I can't tell if you're trying to gaslight me or yourself at this point. Really making your home state proud, bucko. As I said, feel free to drop your @ in the comments so we at the observatory can continue this game you've started. So according to your logic, you're allowed to put people in a box as long as they seemingly do one stereotypical thing. So if a black person has big lips, I'm allowed to call them the N-word? If a trans person has proportions different from their gender, then I should be able to call them the T-slur? And if an autistic person has a stutter, then I should be able to call them a retard? I know these are extreme examples, but they're the only ones I could think of at the time. That's your logic. An edgy comment from a fictional anime girl doesn't mean I'm fine with IRL child abuse. Also, I'm autistic, not mentally handicapped, so the term vegetable isn't applicable here. If mine and his state is irrelevant, then maybe don't bring it up. Also, if you think he's stupid, why even defend him? Just admit he cried about having a drawing of Sailor Moon being mean to him to his new Senate and that you're here defending his non-existent honor. Because that's what this is all over. A drawing. What else is there to expect from an auntie? This is a whole lot of cope from a moron, and my god, you are moronic. How is anything I said cope, and how does it relate to coping? I don't care if Lio said anything about it in his server. I came here because it's hilarious watching you spin in circles trying to be the victim of mean words on the internet. Oh, like how LioConvoy did when making an entire video dedicated to me being mean to him on a community post. Well, between that and wanting to say some mean words, imagine admitting that you seek to harass someone. Do you think that calling you stupid because you're from Texas is the equivalent to a hate crime? My god, you're fucking soft. No, I just used your own logic against you. I don't care if you're autistic and I didn't ask. If you don't care, then why did you bring it up by calling me an ableist slur? Your autism isn't what makes you stupid or hypoxic. Using non-standard words doesn't make you smarter. Also, hypoxic means suffocating, so not only are you using big words to sound smart, you're not even using them correctly. It's the fact that you're okay with child abuse because it's someone you don't like. I have been saying otherwise for this entire comment thread, but whatever. You perpetuate the idea of it being okay and even cutesy by using anime children like mascots for your shit-slinging, and then proceeding to clearly feel guilty about it. Oh, I don't feel guilty. Not at all. I don't feel guilty for being mean to the fat man. In fact, I'll fucking do it again. Oh, and now you're trying to virtue signal about child abuse because now you've been called out. I don't know your definition of virtue signaling, but whatever it is, it's clearly not correct because that sentence makes absolutely no sense in this context. So by all means, huff that copium. Can we get rid of these Gen Z terms and just go back to calling each other the N-word? It made debating so much easier and so less cringe. If you don't understand why I stated that you bringing up Lio being from Texas is irrelevant, then that's a you problem. You bringing up me being from Texas wasn't irrelevant. Me bringing up the fact that the fat man is from Texas is because I was responding to your irrelevant statement. I haven't been called out. This is a fucking comment section on a community post. Please, get off of whatever you're smoking. I never compared what you said to a hate crime. Bigotry doesn't always result in a hate crime. Both are bad, but not always used together. Never once have I been the victim in this thread or in this post. I've only given a long-winded "I told you so." I'm not trying to perpetuate anything. I'm just saying how it is. It's you crying over an edgy drawing, and I'm glad about it. stew in your anger. Furthermore, if you wish to continue this conversation, please tell me if the fat man actually put this post on his server. Admitting such would change the entire course of this pointless argument you started. And if you don't know me, I'm just gonna assume it's a yes. The reason I said that last part was just in case he played plausible deniability. To which he did. You're so mad, LeMayo. I'm not. I don't know if he's posted it in his server. Go look. Does the fat man preemptively ban people he hates? I'm not mad. And I'm just gonna assume the answer is yes, since you don't want to tell me. I just said, I don't know. Go look. Sure you don't know. I definitely believe that at face value. Can you not read? Or are you just lazy because you perceive this to be about championing someone you dislike? You say that as if the SCC hasn't been trying to do that to me for years. You are absolutely mad because if you weren't, you wouldn't be deflecting the way you are. You know, I'm just convinced that people in the SCC don't know what deflection means. You are the one who brought up LioCon. I didn't. Your first comment was literally, why do they look like children? How else am I supposed to interpret that besides someone being an auntie? You are the one who brought up being autistic. Yeah, because you call me an ableist slur. I called you stupid because you live in Texas. Oh, and I called you a vegetable because you have the ability to think critically like a garden variety carrot. No, you were trying to be ableist, and now that I've caught on to you being ableist, you're trying to backtrack. You're not slick. You are the one that stated that threatening someone over the internet is worse than child abuse because it's someone you don't like. I'm not repeating myself. You are the one out here saying that because I think it's weird that you are weaponizing someone's trauma, that I'm glazing a YouTuber you don't like. Even though it's weird and no amount of I'm just edgy spares you from criticism. You aren't an anti-SJW. You are a pair of clown shoes who undoubtedly gets walked all over in real life because you have not accomplished anything worth of value. You don't know how my life is. For all you know, I can have a penis so big it goes up to my chin. You're coping and it's funny. I'm not deflecting. I'm responding to your statements. Everything you claim I brought up, you have brought up. And you're an ownahole to a fat man who will toss you to the side and stomp your head in once you stop being useful to him. Oh? Are you familiar with being a fleshlight to someone who doesn't care about you? No, I initiate 90% of the ERPs I do. I'm not sure what point you're trying to make, but whatever, I guess we moved from debate to insulting each other now. You're probably familiar with friends tossing you aside, too. Honestly, I'm better off without Rhett. No, you don't know my life. Reminder that it's 11:30 PM right now and you're still arguing over a drawing like a pussy. And he must have gotten the hint because he left. Now that that thread is over, there's one other point I'd like to make regarding Sailor Moon. Now, the fat man claims that Sailor Moon would never advocate for LioCon. You already know where this is going. In the beginning of the series, she's shown to like magical girls herself. Sailor V specifically, and wishes to be one. Narrative-wise, this is meant to show the irony of her later having to learn how to be a magical girl herself. However, this context shows that the concept of magical girls do exist in this universe. And we all know that magical girls are the most PG, PC, family-friendly, clean shows out there. Right? And believe me, there's more lewd magical girls out there from back in the day. Sailor Moon is the outlier, along with a few other outliers. Why else would gushing over magical girls be an ecchi? It harks back to the old days of magical girls. Also in Sailor Moon, it's shown that one of the Sailor Scouts' hangout spots is the arcade where Sailor V has a tie-in game. And we all know Japanese arcades are the least sexual places in the world. Right? In fact, the King of Fighters one and the Darkstalkers one are compilations, so it just happens to be more than once in those games, with Capcom even censoring them in the Fighting collection. Remember kids, always pirate. But yeah, if Usagi had a dick and was slightly less straight, she'd definitely be on a never-ending goon sesh. Anyways, there's this one last thread I'm gonna go over in the meantime. Don't worry, it's gonna be short. In fact, it's pretty self-explanatory. AKA, how to make a serious comment/response impossible to be taken seriously. You're not ready for this. You wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it. Aren't you the guy that exposed himself in lingerie to minors? Yeah, no further comment needed. This is the most normal Senate member, and doing that is just an average Tuesday for them. Anyways, gamers, have a good night.
So am I. So am I. So am I.